I know what you're thinking. How did I end up in this situation? Trust me, it's not an easy story to tell. And honestly, most of you won't believe me. But what if I told you that babies come from cabbages? Yeah, I know. Wild, right? I thought the same thing until my buyers, or parents as you call them, told me the truth. Now I get it, it's a hard story to swallow. But if you stick with me, I'll tell you everything. Well, I guess we have to go back to the beginning. You see, a long time ago, ancient alchemists stumbled upon the secret of how to birth babies from cabbages. This magic was regarded as the greatest secret. Using the Philosopher's Stone, they were able to find a new way to give birth, through the sacred cabbage. Why cabbage, you might ask? Well, rumor has it that they thought it looked like a baby's head. Makes some sort of sense, right? These cabbages were engineered to grow humans. I guess you could say I'm a homunculus. Actually, we all are. But the new church couldn't let that kind of power stay in the hands of a few alchemists. No, they wanted the cabbage secret for themselves. So they destroyed the alchemists, wiped them out. And after that, the new church was in control of the cabbage knowledge and its power. They used this secret to grow their own army, cabbage-born, loyal, and ready to serve. Around this time, something else was happening. A reset. The ancient world, filled with advanced civilizations, was falling apart. Floods, earthquakes, whole cities buried under mud. Some say it was due to a certain group's affiliation with black magic. Others think it was just nature taking its course. Whatever the reason, these incredible cities were destroyed and emptied out. Massive floods of mud buried many of the cities deep beneath the ground, only leaving the ruins of a once great age. After the reset, the church sent out its minions to scavenge what remained of those ancient cities. They explored the ruins, documenting everything. This became known as the Founding. The history we're taught today? Yeah, it's all a lie. Across the world, even in the United States, these cities weren't being built. They were being literally founded. The new church rewrote history, hiding the truth of advanced civilizations from this new population. They had to program the first set of orphans through the schooling system. And these orphans weren't just any children. They were the chosen ones, handpicked to become the elites of the new age. They were initiated into secret brotherhoods, where this knowledge of the reset and Freemasonry would be carefully guarded. These orphan brotherhoods began to clean up these cities, raise the streets, and create what we now know as downtowns. Many of these buildings were still buried, and there was a complete underground portion of the city that would be unknown to the general public. But there was still a problem. They needed to fill in these empty ghost cities with people. These first orphans were infertile and didn't even know what sex was. But within the brotherhoods, they were entrusted with one crucial secret: the knowledge of the sacred cabbage. Crazy, right? I didn't believe it either until my parents, buyers, showed me these old postcards. These postcards are very real, and apparently, these Masonic orphans kept them as a way to keep truth hidden in plain sight. But it actually gets even darker than that. I was told that these postcards were advertisements, a means to sell babies. During this early post-reset era, the new church needed more minions. What started small turned into a full-scale operation. Babies were grown in cabbages on massive farms. This was how they repopulated the empty cities. Couples would come to the farms and pick out their favorite baby from the cabbage patch. They didn't really see these babies as their own, but instead they were merely products. It became a cultural phenomenon to purchase babies, and they were sold on the streets, in carts, at shopping centers, and even at world fairs. These world fairs were repurposed ancient buildings that were used to display ancient advanced technology, and they would show off the incubator babies. These incubator babies were cabbage babies that had still not fully developed, and this tech was used to speed up the birthing process. People from around the world would come to see the spectacle and to even purchase one of these incubator babies. Some babies were even sent over in the mail. Delivery men would bring these fresh babies right to your door. Not only that, but you could also have a stork deliver a baby right to your window. It was pretty wild times. These storks would care for the babies on the cabbage patches, and when the time was right, they would be delivered accordingly to their appropriate families. Some say that the storks were delivery men, but others insist that these storks have been participating in this practice since ancient times. But as you can guess, things didn't stay simple. There were too many babies. They started repopulating cities on the East Coast, but those filled up way too fast. It was the industrial age, and the cabbage farms were pumping out babies for the factories. These poor cabbage-born children were put straight to work. These miners were also miners in mining operations. It's a sad truth that these cabbage babies were taken advantage of. Meanwhile, the elite orphans, the ones in the secret brotherhood, were busy cleaning up cities on the West Coast, preparing them for the next batch of the population. That's when the cabbage trains started rolling in. Trains packed with cabbage babies sent from the east to the west, ready to fill up the newly founded cities. Some of these babies were even left to fend for themselves, dropped off in the middle of a city with no clue what to do next. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Why? Why would they go through all this trouble? What's the point? The truth is, history isn't what we've been told. There are secrets about ancient civilizations, magic, and the creation of cabbage babies. If people knew the truth, it would unravel the world as we know it. So after the repopulation phase, the church kicked off a massive propaganda campaign to teach us a new, fake history. If we knew that we came from cabbages, well, many would not be able to handle that sort of truth. So we ignore it. Over time, infertility was cured, but the cabbage babies never stopped being produced. It only went underground, and the techniques became far more advanced. This is still done in secret, in underground factories, for reasons that cannot be fully explained. But fortunately, there are some cabbage babies that remember. They remember the history of how we got here. Thankfully, many are beginning to wake up, and all we can hope is that one day, our minds will be unveiled.